From the moment those words left her lips, the entire room seemed to freeze. "He buys everything I want," the young woman said with a smirk, her confidence cutting through the air like a blade. Across from her stood the wife, the woman who had spent years building the very life now being flaunted in front of her. In that instant, silence carried more weight than any argument. What no one realized was that this moment wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of something far more powerful. She stood there, composed yet shaken beneath the surface, her mind racing through years of sacrifice, late nights, missed opportunities, and endless effort had built the foundation of the life her husband now casually shared with someone else. The other woman's words echoed, filled with pride, as if material things were proof of victory. "Wall, stability." But the wife didn't respond immediately. Instead, she observed her husband's silence, the misplaced confidence of the one standing before her, and the fragile illusion they both seemed to believe. In that moment, something shifted inside her. Not anger, not desperation, but clarity. She realized that everything she had built still belonged to her strength, her resilience, and her worth, and no amount of careless words could take that away. The husband, standing between two worlds, avoided eye contact. His silence spoke louder than any effort. He had grown comfortable, assuming that the life he enjoyed would remain unchanged, no matter his choices. But for the first time he noticed something different in his wife's expression. There was no pleading, no visible heartbreak, only a calm that unsettled him. The other woman continued to speak, unaware that her confidence rested on something unstable. She believed she had secured a place in a life built by someone else's effort. But she didn't understand the depth of what she was facing. The wife's silence wasn't weakness. It was the quiet before a decision that would change everything. As the tension lingered, the wife finally spoke, her voice steady and controlled. Didn't raise it, didn't argue, didn't attempt to compete. Instead, she asked a simple question, one that carried more meaning than any confrontation. She asked whether either of them truly understood what it took to build the life they were so casually enjoying. The room fell silent again, but this time, it was different. The question lingered, forcing both of them to confront something they had ignored. Husband shifted uncomfortably, while the other woman's confidence wavered, just for a moment. It was subtle, but it was there. And in that moment, the balance of power began to change. Later that evening, as the situation settled on the surface, the wife returned home alone. The house, once filled with shared memories, now felt different. But instead of sadness, she felt a growing sense of determination. She walked through each room, recalling the effort it had taken to build everything. Every detail told a story of her dedication, her vision, her hard work. And as she stood there, she realized something important. She had never truly needed anyone else to create her success. That realization brought a quiet strength, one that replaced the pain with purpose. She wasn't losing anything. She was reclaiming everything that had always been hers. Meanwhile, the husband found himself unsettled in a way he hadn't expected. The absence of confrontation, the lack of emotional reaction, it all felt heavier than anger would have. He began to reflect, not out of guilt alone, but out of confusion. He had assumed that control and comfort would remain constant. But now, he sensed a shift he couldn't fully understand. The other woman, too, began to feel the change. The confidence she had displayed earlier now felt uncertain. The situation wasn't unfolding the way she had imagined. The stability she believed she had gained suddenly seemed less secure. For the first time, she questioned whether she truly understood the reality she had stepped into. And the wife moved forward with quiet precision. She made decisions not out of revenge, but out of clarity. She focused on her work, her independence, and the life she had built with her own hands. Opportunities began to open, doors she hadn't even considered before. Her confidence grew, not from validation, but from the understanding of her own value. People around her began to notice the shift. She carried herself differently, not as someone who had lost, but as someone who had awakened to her own strength. And with every step forward, the past began to lose its hold on her. In the end, the moment that once seemed like humiliation became a turning point. The wife didn't fight for attention or approval. She didn't try to reclaim what was already slipping away. Instead, she chose something greater, herself. The husband was left to face the consequences of his choices, while the other woman came to understand that material things could never replace true stability. And the wife, once underestimated, walked away stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever before. What started as a painful encounter became a story of transformation, one where dignity, strength, and self-worth proved to be the greatest victories of all.